Hello and welcome back to the 7th episode of the Tower Sports Advising Podcast. Today's special guest is Franklin Jennings, assistant coach and assistant recruiting coordinator at the George Washington University.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Jennings, it's been a long time coming, my man.
It definitely has.
Let's dive a little bit into your playing career. You're a member of the Central Connecticut State baseball team from 2014 to 2017. 187 games, career .291 batting average, 87 runs scored, 50 RBIs. Won an NEC title in 2017, made an NCAA tournament appearance in 2017 as well. 2017 All-NEC first team and NEC All-Tournament team selection. After his years at CCSU, went on to play professionally with the Somerset Patriots of the Atlantic League, the Eastside Diamond Hoppers of the USPBL, and the New York Bucks of the Empire League. First question I have for you is, after playing at Central for your 4-year college career, what were the big takeaways for you and your playing days there?
Yeah, no, it's Central will always be home. I love that place. It's I talk to those guys all the time. They made me a man in multiple different ways. From a baseball perspective, the biggest thing they taught me is the game doesn't wait for anybody, and you have to be tough to play this game. You have to have thick skin, and you have to have a hard outer shell, right? You can't let one thing bother you that leads to the next thing bothering you, and it's just a snowball effect. Those guys have changed my life for the better. And then you think about the teammates that you have. I still talk to Dean Lockery all the time. He's getting married in May. T.T. Bowens is in the minors right now. Hopefully he can make his big league debut this year. And then you got Buddy Dwayne, who's still in baseball, who's one of my favorite people of all time. He's unbelievable. But you just think about the people that you met there from a coaching perspective and then a playing perspective, and I love that place. That place will always be home. They made me who I am today. They turned me into the coach I am today, and more importantly, they turned me into the person I am today.
Awesome. Moving into question number 2, what was crucial about your development at Central that helps you in your professional career?
The work ethic part of it. I think going into college, guys think that usually if you're going to anywhere, you're usually one of the top 5 players on your team, right? And you get to college and you get a little shell shocked early because you're not the top 5 player that you were, and then you have to work to get there. Whether it's the work you do in practice or the work you do after practice, and the extra work that you're putting in. What's up, T? The extra work that you're putting in outside of practice, it's going to be important. And whatever you do in practice, you have to multiply that after, because whatever you do in practice isn't going to be enough to get to where you're winning games and you're successful. Your talent's going to allow you to get to a certain position, but your work ethic's going to bring you to that next level, and then hopefully after that you find another level to get to. Because there's no you're not going to plateau if you don't let yourself.
I think a cool part of like what you said with the plateau is like, I feel like a lot of guys we played with were never happy with like just being there, right? Like, all right, we got here, we got here, we got here, we got here. And now it's like we look at baseball today and it's like, all right, well, I'm a 300 hitter, and kids are okay with that. Well, how do we become like a 320 hitter, or how do we become a
Exactly.
340 hitter? Like, ever being pleased with the game of like, all right, I hit 15 doubles this year. How do I hit 20 next year? I think
No doubt.
a lot of that is not as much talked about as it was when we played, of like, all right, well, freshman year, you had really successful year. Just say you got 20 hits, right? Well, you should have 40 the following year, 50 the junior year, 60 senior year, whatever it may be. But I think those things are kind of not really talked about as much, of like, this is essentially you plateauing. All right, you had 40 hits last year and you got 40 hits again. Well, that's your plateau. How do we get to 41? Because that
Exactly.
essentially anything is right, like that that chart is going up. So it's essentially, once you get out of college and you get into pro ball, you're just a normal old guy. And I think a lot of people get lost in that.
Yeah, I think the word complacency, it's something that we use in our program a ton, and you can't get complacent. We're 16-12 right now, and we've played really good baseball a lot of the time. But when we haven't played good baseball, it's because we're okay just being average. And is that's the killer of most careers. Like you said, guys come out one year and they get 50 hits, and the next year they're okay with getting 50 hits. And I think today's generation of baseball is the most talented generation of baseball that we've seen, but it's also the most spoon-fed generation of baseball we've seen. And guys, and it's not everybody. I don't want people to think that it's every single baseball player, but I think guys today are more okay with being average than before because they're more talented and their talent just takes over. They do stuff that we could never do. I say
I
it
mean,
all the time.
we didn't have the resources they have now, though.
Exactly.
Like, it
That's
was
true.
like even us, like, it was the beginning of those resources of, like, a Rapsodo, a Hit Tracks, what's the other one?
Synergy,
Synergy. Well, Synergy was kinda
Premier,
there when we were there. It was like it was there, but it wasn't.
for sure.
What's the big one that's in all the ballparks?
Trackman.
Trackman. We
Yeah,
didn't have that. That wasn't a
no
thing.
doubt.
Yeah,
No
Tracks
doubt.
was, like, kinda the beginning of, like, the end of our playing career, but it was like,
For sure.
you have all these numbers and you run it by, and it's like kids either become, all right, they're old school like us of like, yeah, numbers do matter, right? All right, I hit a home run 410 feet, whatever it may be, right? But kids are so numbers driven in everything they do nowadays of like, all right, well, my whole bullpen's Rapsodo. I can see spin, I can see velo, I can see whatever it may be on every single pitch, every single bullpen for the entire year. So I feel like some kids get lost in it. I don't know who said it, but somebody said it to me the other day. They're like, I don't need a Rapsodo if you throw 85 miles an hour.
No
And
doubt.
it wasn't picking on anybody, but it's like once your velo starts to climb is essentially when those numbers start to matter. So if you're 85 and your spin rate is a certain whatever the rate might be for an 85-mile-an-hour fastball, he's like, I don't need to look at that for a kid that I'm trying to recruit. Like, I don't care.
No, and like you said, we're more old school. I'm trying to dive into the numbers a little more because they do matter. I don't want it to go unnoticed that they do matter. Like you said, the 85 unless the 85 mile per hour fastball is spinning a ton, because if it's spinning a ton, that tells me that there's probably you're gonna grow at some point. If you're spinning an 85 mile per hour average, like you're right. Like there's no reason for me to look at it. I think the numbers they help. I think they really help in development if you know what you're talking about. Again, I'm just starting to get into the TrackMan world of spin rate and IVB and stuff like that. But if you don't know what you're talking about, those numbers don't matter, and you can put them on your Twitter all you want. And again, if you're throwing the ball 83 to 85, it's going to be a long road for you at our level at least.
Moving on to the last question about your playing career. What was it like playing independent baseball in all of the different leagues? Can you kind of break it down? You don't have to give a full answer, but like break it down a little bit about kind of each so people actually understand what it's like trying to play in these leagues after.
Yeah, it's Somerset was in the Atlantic League. It was the best baseball I'd ever been around. It was really cool. You get the real pro ball experience. You get there early for early work. They have food for you. They have everything for you. You're staying in host families and stuff like that. I was there for 2 weeks, and then didn't get asked back for the next year. Then went out to Michigan the following year. Again, I was there for 2 weeks. Got released. Got released. I was hitting 330. Played really good defense. Stole a few bags. It was the hardest of my career because it was the first time that I could look myself in the mirror and say, I gave everything I had. I had really good numbers, and someone just outplayed me. Right. So that was it was hard. I had debated on quitting and giving up there. And then one of my college teammates, Matt Martinez, was like, you're not done. You're coming to the Empire League. Um, the Empire League was something else. I mean, you know what it's like. It wasn't a true pro ball experience, but I would not change it for the world. I still talk to most of my teammates. I've been invited to a ton of weddings from those teammates. It the living situation, the financial situation was not great. The baseball in that league was awesome. There were a lot of really, really good players. There's a kid that's in the on that was on the opening day for the Astros. He was on the roster. Played against him, faced him probably 12 times that year. The guy who gave up the homer to Shohei Ohtani in the Tokyo Dome that kind of put Ohtani on the map. He was in that league. So there were some big names. There were some big leaguers. It was an unbelievable league. It was the league that I got super complacent in and was okay with hitting 280 and going to the ballpark, not taking IO, not really taking BP. And I let my talent take over and it showed. There was no reason I shouldn't have hit 320 to 330 in that league. And the reason I didn't is because I got complacent and I was okay with being average.
Yeah, I mean, I think about the guys that we played in that league, and like some of them made it out of essentially, like you said, the guy that was on the Astros opening day roster. But it's like people don't really understand what it's like to go into those situations of after college of like, all right, didn't get picked up in the draft or didn't get signed as a free agent. And it's like the people in independent baseball don't owe you anything. And I think a lot of kids, especially fresh out of college, don't understand like they don't owe you anything. You can be there for 36 hours and they're okay with that.
Perfectly fine with
Which
it.
which is fine, but it's like, what are you going to do with the experience that you got playing there for the 36 hours, right? And I think for you, it was like, all right, I wanted to go back to the Atlantic League. Back when we played, the Atlantic League was the guys that were kind of done with their MLB careers, or the guys that should have got drafted or got drafted, got hurt. I mean, you were facing 90 plus arms. Yeah, and it was like 90 was like the low end. Like,
No doubt. And then they're
so it's,
ripping cutters and the cutter's making its way back. We've got a few guys that are throwing cutters, but and when we were playing in college, the cutter was not a thing. So the first day there, you're seeing a pitch that you haven't seen before, and you're like, "What the hell is that?" Like everybody talked about Mariano Rivera's cutter, but he's the only one who really throws one. No, he's definitely not. He's definitely not.
I remember when I was at UMass Lowell, we played Mississippi State to open the year at my junior year, and Dakota Hudson was a game one starter, and his cutter was an 8 out of 8 on MLB.com. Like it was like he was throwing a slider, but it was a fastball in the 90s. Like, and it was moving from inside corner to outside corner. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I mean, I think he ended up going in the first round that year, but I'm like that's just real baseball, and it's like
Yep.
that is everywhere, but it's you kind of up here, it's kind of the hit or miss, like, especially, right. I'm not going to say and knock any program, but it's like every program's got a guy like that. Yeah, it might not be a cutter, but they might. I think I was talking to my brother the other day. MIT's got a kid that's up to 97, like, but he's rehabbing from Tommy John. So it's everybody's got a guy, whether it's D1, D2, D3, but it's those guys once you get to the higher level are those are dudes. They're not just guys anymore.
Absolute dudes. At the end of the day, it's really fun that you get those experiences. You have to grow through them, and you have to let yourself grow through them. You have to be okay with failure to a point. But it you look back on it, and I'm 6 years out now, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
I mean, it definitely puts you in a better place too in your coaching career of like, all right, well, I kept going at it, right? And it's like
No,
we go back to the time management and all the things you learn as an athlete of like, this is how it sets you up for success after baseball, essentially.
for
You're
sure.
still in baseball, but it's your job now, right? So it's
Exactly.
those things that you learned as a player that help you as soon as you get out of college.
No doubt.
All right, let's move on a little bit into your coaching career. We got a long list here to accomplish in a short amount of time. Our coaching career at your alma mater, CCSU, spending 4 seasons as an assistant coach from 2019 to 2022. 2 NEC conference titles in 2019 and 2021. During first year at CCSU in 19, you guys knocked off 24 ranked Cal in the NCAA Regional Marketing Program's first NCAA win and what was the team's sixth appearance. Joined Army West Point coaching staff in 2023 as a volunteer, promoted to assistant coach in 24, in charge of outfielders, assisted with hitting, responsible for team defensive alignments, and on-campus recruiting. Served as director of Army West Point baseball camps and clinic. At Army, he won 2 Patriot League championships, reaching its 5th and 6th NCAA regional. Coached 4 position players to all Patriot League all-conference accolades, achieved the second highest fielding percentage in conference in 2024, and played error-free baseball in 21 games. He coached a 10th round MLB pick in the 2024 MLB draft and a free agent that signed with the Cardinals. Joined George Washington coaching staff in the fall of 2024 as an assistant coach and assistant recruiting coordinator, assisting with hitter development and offensive strategies, coached third base and responsible for training GW infielders. Also assists in practicing schedule, training, and development. Can you, first question here, can you kind of explain what it was like for you to pretty much work at your alma mater?
Yeah, it was the first 2 months were really hard, and I say that because I was coaching guys that I played with. And when you go through that, you have to separate the two, right? Because you're coaching your boys. And my first day, me and me and one of my best friends, I'm the coach, he's the player. We almost get into a fist fight because he didn't listen, right? And when you're in that situation, you can't coach those guys. You have to allow them to come to you with problems, and hopefully you have those solutions. But that 2019 year, I had been around those guys a ton because I was training with them when I was getting ready for pro ball. So it was it was intriguing. I had never thought I was going to be a college baseball coach. I had to go back and finish school and graduate. So that's how it started, and it's grown into the list that you just read off. Again, I can't thank Hick, Bono, and Coach Hall enough. I talk to Coach Hall 3 to 4 times a week. He's became like a second father to me when I was playing, and it's only grown since I've been coaching. A lot of the stuff I've gotten has been from those three, and again, I would never change my time at Central Connecticut. Like you said, as a player and a coach, I won 3 championships there. It taught me how to win, which is very important. Knowing how to win and learning how to win is a skill that I hope everybody in our program learns and everybody else in every other program doesn't learn. But it was really special to me. People ask me all the time if Hick and Hall ever retire, if I'm ever going to go and try to be the head coach there. And it's definitely a possibility at some point. Right now, I think the trajectory of my career is going down the right path, and we'll kind of see where it leads.
I think the coolest part of what you just said is knowing how to win, right? And it's like growing into these different organizations and wherever you go to college, right? It's like knowing how to win, but knowing how to do it the right way. And I think a lot of people get lost as people, I say recruits, of like, they get lost and it's like, all right, well, I was really good in high school and we won all the time, right? We're in our small local town or whatever it may be. Maybe you're in a big town or you're at a private school, who knows? But I feel like people don't really understand what it's like to win at the college level. And it's like if you get blessed with that experience of like you're almost guaranteed to win that conference championship every year or whatever it may be. I think that is like the end all be all of like this is where you get the good team morale and like those teams really buy into what the coaches are saying.
Yeah, I think like again, I've been extremely fortunate at Central, right? We had won in 17, so that group had already learned how to win. 19, we were really good. Uh, Ended up winning again. The 2020 team, it never gets talked about, but that would have been something extremely special. That would have been the best team that we had. And then
Best
the
team
20
that never happened.
exactly.
Right. It's like you look back at it, and as funny as it is to say now, it's like everyone's 2020 team was the best team of all time in their program because nobody played. You were lucky to play
Exactly.
10 games that year. And I think it's just coaches, as they keep doing the pods, keep bringing up 2020, and I'm like, it's the best team we probably ever had.
No doubt. No doubt. And then the 21 team was you lost 3 guys from that 2020 team, but again, it was something special. Um, but by 21, we were the favorites in the conference every year. I mean, you had Bryant, and fortunately, they couldn't get over the hump of beating us in the championship. They beat us in 22. They beat us in the semifinal. But this is the first program that I've been in. I went to Army, and they had won 4 in a row, and I was fortunate to get to be part of 5 and 6. This is the first program that I'm at where they got to the semifinal last year. We haven't won the conference in 22 years. Kind of getting these guys to understand that every time we step on the field, we're supposed to win. It's been a challenge, but it's been a challenge that they're stepping up to and starting to believe that we can do this, and God willing and talent willing, we will do this.
This is a loaded question for you. So, what is it like coaching at Army West Point? Can you kind of explain what it goes into being an Army West Point baseball player?
Uh, People ask me this all the time.
I
I love
played
those.
I played Army, so like I kind of got like the rundown of it of like when we played them, but like not at the same time. Like it's not even close to what I could tell you and you're gonna tell me.
I love those guys with all my heart. They are unbelievable. Chris Trez absolutely changed my career. He made me a way better baseball coach. And Mike Cole, I still talk to Mike. He's unbelievable. Those are 2 winners, right? And then you mix in the fact that you're recruiting the best kids in the country, right? You can't be a bad student and go there. You can't be a bad kid and go there. You get suspended in high school, you can't go. Anything off the field in high school, you can't come, right? So what it's like being an Army baseball player, you go to class, you have to go to class, you cannot miss class. You can't cheat in the classroom. If you get caught cheating to any capacity, you get kicked out. So baseball is really there. Come to baseball, and they are normal 18 to 22-year-old kids. I think the biggest difference is there's 2 differences. When they make a mistake, it never happens again. And the second one is there's a switch, right? Like we would be in the team room, and they'd be joking around and messing around like 18 to 22-year-old kids, and then a 3-star general would walk in, and they'd be at attention. And there's a switch that I don't know if everybody has, right? Like there's joking around, and then coach walks in, and you're still goofing around. Those guys joking around, 3-star general walks in, and they are buttoned up to a T. And then from a talent perspective, the facilities are as close to Power Five without being Power Five as it comes. And I think their time management, like you spoke on before, their time management has to be so much better than everybody else's. Obviously, you take Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard out of there because they're doing the same stuff. But it takes a special human being to go through what they go through on a daily basis.
When we played there, and I don't know the exact time, but it was I think it
Five
was a
o'clock.
5 o'clock, right? So it was a 3:30 game to start. 5 o'clock hit, everyone's in the line. They shoot the gun, the flag goes down, and it was just like a baseball experience that I never thought I would be a part of. And again, I never knew it was going to even happen, but it was like to the T, right? Like the seconds of the milliseconds, they were on the line, ready to do it. Back in the dugout, game stop.
So it's like it turns into a little bit of an advantage for Army. So it's called retreat when it signifies the end of the day. So if it goes off in the middle of the play, you finish the play. Opposing teams don't know that. The cannon goes off, and you'll be in the middle of a 6-4-3 double play, and our guys are turning double play. The base runner stops. they finish the play and then they're at attention. Like you said, it's an experience that I hope everybody gets to experience. I know everybody won't, but it's one of the cooler things that happens there. Um, and then just the history around it. Um, Everybody, all the players, they have to know the history of that place. And I grew up 40 minutes from there. My mom and aunt grew up in Highland Falls. So I had known about West Point, but until you get the opportunity to work there or go through there and go on a tour, you don't really know anything about the place other than it's one of the most beautiful venues in the country.
Last question I have about your coaching career, and you can kind of just give one essentially about each of it, is can you explain the big differences from CCSU, Army, West Point, and George Washington in your coaching career?
Yeah, Central operates on a very low budget, so that's the biggest thing. Learning to make do with what you have was very influential there. Army operated on a completely different budget, but learning how to make do with the time that you have because you don't have them as long as you'd like to from a class perspective, lifting perspective, and stuff like that. So you have to really be time oriented at practice. You can't spend 30 minutes on stuff that you can't spend 30 minutes on. So you have to be really time oriented there. And then here it's kind of been similar because our field is off campus. So when you have them, you have to really make do with what you have from a time perspective. And then here, the big difference is again, I talked about it earlier, but the winning aspect. We haven't won in 22 years, and really putting a focus on winning and the little things that lead you to winning. We talk about it all the time. The little things turn into big things, and if we don't do the little things right, then the big things won't ever come. So those are the three things: making do with what you have, making do with the time that you have, and focusing on winning. I mean, I don't know how many people in today's world really, really focus on winning. And I know it's not everything, but at the end of the day, life treats winners differently.
I think two cool points you put there, right? Is like for you now as coaching at Central, it kind of gives you that like perspective of you coming out of high school of like they don't have everything, right? And it's not every mid major doesn't have everything. And I think people get lost in that in the recruiting process of like, all right, they're supposed to give me this. Well, maybe they don't have that. And again, you're not going
Yeah,
to know what they have for scholarships or plans for the future or whatever it may be, right? But you get lost in that. And it's kind of a like an untouched topic of like you should know the information, but you shouldn't as like a recruit.
for
I feel
sure.
like, and I think for at GW with what you just said, it's like your off campus field is like that is what it is. Like it's more common than you think, but it's like whatever that 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it may be of you having to get to the field. Like, and our eyes as coaches, that's not time wasted, but it's like that's time we could be doing things and making you better on the field. And
Absolutely.
a lot of people talk about it of like we're not on campus, so it's not like I can walk from our clubhouse to the field. And it's like those 10 minutes could be important. Like you don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, let's move a little bit on to into recruiting. What are you looking for in a recruit when you go to see them play? Pitchers and hitters, you can kind of break it out by each one. And then what's something that stands out for you about both?
Yeah. The biggest thing that I think goes unnoticed when people talk about this, you have to be good at baseball, right? Like being a good baseball player is the first thing we're looking for. Everybody could talk about being a good person, being a good teammate. All that stuff is very important. I don't want that to go unnoticed, but you have to be a good baseball player too. From a pitcher standpoint, I'm looking for guys that throw strikes and can control the running game because that has kind of gone by the wayside. Throwing hard is really cool. I love guys who throw 95 miles per hour, but nobody cares how hard you throw ball for. So throwing strikes is super important. And then controlling the running game just because it nobody does it anymore. You could be a 1-7 to the plate. If you give up a single, it's automatically a double, and you already have a guy in scoring position. And then a two-pitch mix. You have to be able to throw at least two pitches because you could throw 100 here, and we talk about it all the time. We don't get beat by velo. If you look at any game that we've played, take away USC the first night where the kid came out throwing 95 and 97 from the left side, we haven't gotten blown up a ton, right? Velo doesn't really beat us. So being able to command two pitches for a strike is really important at this level. And then from a hitter's perspective, defense really matters, right? And yeah, you could hit 500 and hit 16 bombs, but if you're giving up 3 runs a game on the defensive side of it's going to be really hard to put you out there. Yes, there is a DH position, and I understand that, but there's only one of those. And then if you have two catchers that really hit, you can't catch one of those guys every day. They're going to have to flip flop, right? So one of those guys might have to DH. So there goes your DH position.
Or you kind of move them to first base too, which I've seen a lot of people do now of like, all right, I don't really have that good of a first baseman, so teach your catcher how to play first. I mean, that's always kind of been around, but I
Yes,
feel like it's starting to be more common of like, how do I get this kid on the field? We'll go play first
exactly.
base.
And then being able to play multiple positions. That's extremely important. Be able to go from second base to left field, right? To be able to do those kind of things, all that is an athleticism piece. We're looking for athletes. We're looking for guys that can run around the field and be exciting to watch play. From an offensive standpoint, physicality matters. We like to be more physical. We're starting to get there, but being strong and not having that plateau, right? Like I don't want the 6'2", 210-pound junior right now, right? Because I don't know how much more there is for growth. But I will take the 5'10", 190-pounder because that 190 can turn into 200, 205, right? And you can still be athletic. So physicality matters. And then from an offensive standpoint, we don't like the launch swing, the really uphill swing. We think it creates for a really big hole in your swing, a lot of swing and miss. Guys who put the ball in play, strikeouts matter. I mean, I'll put it to you like this. If you're going to come out and hit 20 homers, I will live with 60 punches. But if you're going to come out and hit 2 homers and punch out 60 times, it's not going to work. Putting the ball in play matters a ton. And then guys who are on the barrel, talk about showcases or camps, right? I don't really need to watch you swing in a game if you're not on the barrel a ton in BP. And I understand some guys take bad rounds of BP, and but most college hitters, if there is an arm throwing, I will give you some grace if it's a machine. But if there's an arm throwing and you're not barreling up 4 out of 5 baseballs every round, college baseball is going to be really hard for you at any level.
I think practice alone is going to be hard for you there.
Exactly.
And you're gonna be running it a lot. Two
I
things that
know.
kind of got off of that is like how you talked about the 5'10", 190 guy versus the 5'10", 210 guy. I think a big piece of that is you can shape them into the player you kind of want them to be. And I think that's kind of what gets lost of like, all right, he doesn't want the 210-pound guy. No, it's you kind of have to get that guy back down to 190 and then shape him into what you want to shape him into. And that's not
Exactly.
always a bad thing because you can do that. But I think a
No doubt.
lot of people get lost is like, oh, he doesn't like me. No, he just sees a different side of you than somebody else is going to see. And the other thing I want to touch on of what you said is about pitchers holding runners. I also want to talk about the catcher position has gotten significantly bigger since we played. There's bigger catchers now, right?
No,
Octave for us was a big catcher back in our day, right? And now that's kind of a norm for a lot of people. Like your catcher's like 6'1", 6'2", 6'3" now. Like most of the guys we play with were like 5'10". Yeah, they were good at their position. No ifs, ands, or buts. But like the catcher position has naturally gotten bigger now. And I think
offensive.
right. And I think a lot of people have gotten lost in the translation of like, all right, you got a bigger guy and you get more offensive. Great. What happened to the little guy that was the one that controlled your runners even when your pitchers were slow to the plate.
No doubt. No
And I
doubt.
think
Catch and throw isn't as important as it used to be. So, yeah, I think if you're talking about the catcher position, catch and throw is huge. Receiving is probably the biggest thing for at least for our program. If you can receive, then it's going to be really good for you. And that's just because umpires are so bad. If you can make strikes, if you can make balls look like strikes, you're probably going to get the call. Receiving, and then, like you said, I mean, I think of the best catchers I've had at receiving and blocking. They've been smaller guys. They've been smaller guys.
it's easier to move.
Exactly. You talk about the 10th rounder that we had last year at Army, and he's 6'2", 215 pounds, an absolute physical specimen. The ball 700 feet, but he was really athletic mover. He got better at receiving as he got older. He got better at blocking, but he also played a ton of first base for us. Played second base for us. Could move him to the outfield, right? And those dynamic athletes are. I think you're starting to see those in baseball more because I think younger ages people are picking up baseball more.
I think with that is I think also coaches nowadays are giving more people those opportunities. I
For
feel like
sure.
before, if you look at your standard recruiting class of, let's just say, your D1's taking in 9 guys, you were taking in 4 pitchers, maybe 2 outfielders, 2 infielders, and a catcher. And it was kind of never the thought of, all right, well, this kid could play multiple positions. And now with all the data and all the social media that we live in is people don't realize of, all right, well, I have synergy and I have every single pitch that that guy's thrown that we're playing on Saturday. Well, 90% of his appearances, he struggled against lefty. Not guaranteed I'm never going to put a lefty out there because it's lefty and we're in Division One baseball. But like maybe that's a guy we put 6 lefties out against. And then, all right, well, now how do I figure out the kid that plays second base? I got 2 guys every other day that are flipping at second base. How do I get that guy into left field? And when you're recruiting kids now, it's a lot easier of like, all right, I can play infield and outfield. Maybe I'm stronger at the outfield, but I've played the infield. And yeah, it's, you go to a showcase and it looks pretty good. So we're in that generational move of, all right, I'm kind of recruiting for more than one position now.
Absolutely. And just being able to move, like, I can make you a better infielder. Just being able to move somewhat athletically like an infielder matters, right? So those are the big things.
Next question: are you more likely to recruit kids from team camps or college showcases or go and watch them play in like a perfect game or prospect select? And this can be based off of what your personal opinion is, not the team.
So since I've been here, we've run 3 team camps and 4 prospect camps. We've gotten 6 recruits out of those. I think it depends on how the team camp and prospect camps run. And I think so for us, team camps and prospect camps are what we recruit out of, right? We go to those showcases and like PG events and stuff like that to see if we want to invite that kid to camp.
I think that's kind of where it gets lost a lot of like they're just going to these for no reason. No, they're going to these to invite you to
Yes.
the camp that essentially matters and where your opportunity is.
Exactly. And for us, the big thing is we want to spend a day around you and we want you to spend a day around us. Or if it's a 2-day event, 2 days. If it's a 3-day team camp, 3 days. We want you to feel comfortable committing to us just as much as we want to feel comfortable committing to you. And with our events, all 5 of our staff members, our 4 coaches and our director of operations are at every single event. We will not run an event if we can't have all 5 of us there because we all have to want that kid the same amount, right? And there's bang on the table kids, right? Like there's kids that I really want and I we have to go get them and the other guys aren't on board, but they trust me enough that if I'm banging my fist on the table for this kid, then he's probably going to be pretty good. And we miss all the time, man. We miss all the time.
Human, right? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly. We think somebody's going to turn out, and they don't turn out. And that's the
that's
bad
life.
part about our job, but it's also the good part about our job
That's
because
that's life.
exactly.
It's when you get to the real world, that's life. Like you might hire a guy that you don't think got, and like you could hire a guy that you think's a really good fit, and he might not last a week. You could pick up a guy from the portal in the fall, and he might not make it to the spring. You don't know.
No
It's
doubt.
all luck.
And it, the biggest thing is just be honest. Like you have to have the grown up conversations. You have to be honest. You see that kid at the PG event, and they come to camp, and they're not what you thought they were. Hey, man, I appreciate you coming out, and I think the bad part about it is the camp scene has become so expensive, right? And we can't keep the prices what they were because it just doesn't make sense. So having a kid that you want to work out come to camp and he struggles, it's frustrating because it feels like you're stealing money from people when in all reality you're just trying to do your job.
Think there of like kids get lost in that fact of all right, you invited him to the camp, right? And then I get to the point of parents will be like, well, it's X amount of dollars, right? Okay. Well, they want to see you in the uncomfortable setting. And you playing with your travel team or your high school team or whatever it may be isn't uncomfortable for you. Like coaches want to see you struggle, right? But then they also want to see you pick yourself up. So, hey, I just booted a ball in the first inning of the showcase, right? How do you pick yourself up? Do you have a 12 pitch at bat? Do you get a knock? You hit a double, whatever it may be. Like, and then the next ground ball you get, you aren't timid. You work through it, throw the ball on the run, make a great play. Like, there's a lot of things that I think add value to these showcases and that kind of open up the eyes of these recruits that the recruits don't want to talk about. And it's like, if you don't want to talk about it of how you didn't get anything out of this, well, you did. Because if I hopped on the phone with you and I sent you a recruit, you're going to tell me the whole rundown of everything that happened. And I wasn't there, but I could tell you probably everything that did happen just because I've coached him for long enough. But you got to accept the fact of there's patterns of your baseball career, right? Yes, you can change the patterns, but unless you're trying to excel and get better, it's not going to change. Those patterns are always going to be there.
No doubt. And like you talked about, like the adversity portion of it, right? Like that's really big. How do you handle adversity? And then how do you talk to people that you don't know? Right? Like you talked about the high school and travel ball. You are with those guys all the time, right? And in college you're gonna be with those guys all the time, but that first week of college baseball when you're a freshman is so different, right? So like how are you gonna acclimate to this? Are you going to be in your shell and kind of be off by yourself? Or are you going to be a guy that's kind of just, he gets himself in the mix right away and talks to people he doesn't know and stuff like that? Because that matters.
Next question and you can make this brief, it doesn't have to be long. Do you guys use the transfer portal for recruiting? And do you believe the transfer portal is helping baseball?
Loaded question.
That's been the response for everybody.
We have not. The simple answer is we will use it if our players make us use it. And what I mean by that is we want to have as many homegrown guys as possible. If our shortstop decides he's going to go in the portal in July, then we have to go get a shortstop. That's what it is. But last year, three guys went in the portal from GW, and two of them were grad guys. So we lost one guy, and he thought it was a better situation for him. So at the end of the day, you got to hope that it is a better situation for the kid, and so be it. But I can tell you right now, if we don't have to use the portal, we will not use the portal. The only way we will use it is if we need to. We've got one grad guy from the portal right now because he wanted to come to GW for grad school and he had one more year to left. So again, hopefully we don't have to, but if we're forced to, we will. As for helping baseball, I don't think it helps any sport. I think it gives kids an out. I think if you're not playing, then you should stay there and try to play. Unless it's not the right fit for you life wise, right? Like you thought that you were gonna get X amount of scholarship and it's not good for you financially, you or your family financially, and you want to go in the portal, okay. But I think the ability to go somewhere, commit to someone, do what this coach, this was your only Division I offer, do what this coach believed you could do, and then leave because someone took a shot on you and you did what you were supposed to do at the end of the day. I think that's a load of crap, and I don't support it. But again, everybody has their own opinion. Talk to me a year from now when 50% of our starters go into the portal and we have to go out and get 50% of our starters back, then yeah, I'll love the portal, right? Like I think it's half in one hand, whatever the saying is. Six in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
I think like a big thing there is like how you talked about the ceiling of the kid, right? Where the D1 coach sees the ceiling. I think back to kind of our days of like, if a coach saw that ceiling in you and gave you that opportunity, right? If you did everything the right way and you entered the portal and said, "Hey, I want another opportunity," that's a different story. But I feel like a lot of kids nowadays get lost and they're not doing it the right way.
No,
They don't
and
they don't thank the person that gave them that opportunity. They don't thank the teammates that helped them get there. They're just like, "All right, bigger and better. I'm out. See you." And I think that's where those guys think the grass is greener on the other side, and those are the guys that end up stop playing.
yeah, the loyalty aspect of it, and uh, like college athletics is supposed to grow you into an adult, right? And I think the portal has kind of hindered that. I don't think like there's guys that go in the portal without telling their head coach. They don't sit down and have a conversation. And I think that's where this generation is severely struggling, is having those conversations.
They don't have the hard hitting questions of like, "All right, I have to do this."
Exactly.
It's like you grow up as a man, you don't do that anymore.
Exactly. Exactly.
Next question of what's your best advice to a high school athlete trying to play college baseball?
We are and go where you're wanted. You can't try to do more than what your skill set allows. If you're a runner, go out and run. If you hit homers, go out and hit home runs. If you're a thumber and you throw breaking balls, you're a spin to win guy, go ahead and do that. If you throw the ball 85 miles per hour, you can't try to blow guys up with 85. It's not going to work. And then the go where you're wanted portion of it, you have to trust that people are telling you the truth. And what I mean by that is, when someone's feeding the truth, right? You know that, and you know that deep in your heart, and you have to find the people that are going to be 100% honest with you. We are 100% honest with any recruit that walks on campus. We're 100% honest with our players, and as a staff, as a collective, we are 100% honest with each other. We call each other out all the time. So I think being who you are and going where you're wanted are the two biggest pieces of advice I can give you. Coach Cav, who's our recruiting coordinator, he says it all the time. That thing where people say take baseball out of the equation, and if that's the school you want to be at, we don't agree with that, because baseball is the biggest piece of this equation, right? So you have to make part of your decision on baseball. You can't take it out of the equation. And then the other stuff also matters. But from a recruiting standpoint, be who you are and go where you're wanted.
I think the biggest thing you said there, and I say it all the time to kids, is you're buying the coaching staff, you're not buying the school. And people kind of laugh at it, but I'm like, if you're buying the coaching staff, right, and they're not buying into you and you're not buying into them, you're not going to stay there. So that school part is out the window unless you just stay there and give up the sport, which some people do, and that's totally
They
fine.
don't.
And
No
it's
doubt.
kind of, for some people, it is an access point of like, all right, I'm good at baseball. Like, you can help me get into the school, right? I've seen certain situations where that happens, but if you're not buying into what the coaches are like, you're going to get there freshman year, and that portal is going to hit you by the end of the fall
No
because
doubt.
they don't want you there and you don't want to be there. So I think kids get lost on that. I think that's a huge point. All right, moving on a little bit into hitting and defense. Is there something that you preach to your hitters that you might have learned in your playing career?
Yeah, catch that
Just
thing
get
out front. No, yes, obviously it depends on the playing conditions, right? And again, who you are. Uh, RBIs get you paid, right? Whether that's homers, doubles, whatever that is. Driving runs, right? When you're in RBI situations, don't take fastballs and driving runs when you can. Obviously, if you're a guy who can hit the ball over the fence, hit the ball over the fence. But we talk about hitting the ball low, hard, middle, down a line, and do damage in the gaps, right? That's where nobody plays. So do damage in the gaps. And then defensively, the biggest thing is people hate me for saying this: play one handed in the infield. The best plays ever are made one handed. So that was my biggest. If I could go back to my playing career and give myself advice, that would be my biggest thing is play one handed and play downhill.
next question, and you kind of touched on it a little bit. Is there a certain type of hitting that you teach? And again, it could be your baseline, or you could teach everybody differently. It's whatever you kind of teach, and just give us kind
There's
of a rundown.
no one hitter is the same, right? You can't coach it all the same way. You have to kind of coach to who that hitter is. I mean, you watch me hit. I had no business trying to hit home runs, right? But I should have tried to hit more doubles and drive the ball to the gap more instead of hitting the ball on the ground. Ground balls at this level are out, right? Fly balls at this level, if they don't get to the gap, are usually outs. So again, we preach stay in the middle of the field, the ball on the line. And the biggest thing, like I talked about with the recruiting thing, is be on the barrel more than you're not. I think being on the barrel and hitting the ball hard gets lost. A lot of people focus on getting hits. Well, when you hit the ball harder, you have a better chance of getting hits. It's just a scientific fact. So hitting the ball hard on the line is obviously what we preach, and how we preach that is totally different hitter to hitter.
Last question about hitting and defense is: since you started coaching career, you pretty much work with a different group of positions at each school. What's a big factor about each positional group that stands out to you when watching a recruit play?
Outfield wise, catch the damn thing. Don't make it. It don't have to look pretty. Just catch the baseball. The ability to get behind balls as a high schooler is really impressive because I don't think it's worked on enough. So if I see a guy that's able to get behind balls and really track like that, it's super important. And then infield wise, it's your feet. If your feet don't work, it's going to be really hard to be an infielder. The ability to throw on the run and throw from a shuffle is really important, and then throw from different arm angles in the middle of the field. Third baseman and first baseman, obviously, they have a little different skill set, but just athleticism. Like, be able to deviate from the plan because the plan's not always going to be able to happen.
All right, moving on to development. Are you guys at TW open to recruits about development that needs to be put in before arriving on campus?
Absolutely. We try to get them with our strength coach early if possible. If they can, we try to get them over the summer, potentially take a class before freshman year, and then they can spend time here. And then we try to get young guys, like high school seniors coming in, we try to get them into one of the college leagues, whether it's the Cal Ripken League, the Hamptons, Perfect Game, or the Futures League. Depending on where they're located, we try to get them into one of those leagues to get them acclimated to the speed of the college game because it is different.
I think a key point there of like getting acclimated to the game, and I mean, people aren't going to like this, but like, I don't coach 18U travel baseball for a reason. Like, once you're committed to college, they want to see you in that college summer league. Like, they don't want to see you playing travel baseball at Perfect Game or Prospect Select at 18 years old. Like, they want to watch you in a summer league, and all right, yeah, I'm going to recruit here, but you got a summer league game, and I can stop by and I can see 3 at bats of like, that's what they want to see. They don't want to see the travel baseball after you've already committed to
No doubt.
college. And I think
No
back to
doubt.
when I played, it was once I committed, I stopped playing travel baseball. I started playing Legion baseball. One, I got to play with my friends, but back in the day, Legion was competitive. Like those kids
No
that,
doubt.
right, but those kids that ended up committing, as soon as travel ball was done, they were moving on to Legion, and Legion ended up becoming more competitive than travel ball because all those kids that were committed and everywhere in Mass at the time had it. So there was good teams everywhere you went, and there was kids that were
Everywhere.
committed. Right. Now it's
So
kind of
yeah,
phased out, but the travel ball is has bought into got to play into your 18. And I'm like, you don't. Go play in a summer
definitely
league.
go play and it doesn't have to. I mean, I'm not telling you to go get blown up in the Cape.
No.
That's not
First of
going
all,
to do anything for you.
you can't get there anyway. But
Exactly. But take the NECBL. Like you don't have to go to one of the premier leagues. You just have to get acclimated to the speed of the game.
I think Coach Ward at Hartford brought this up too. And it's like kids are moving away from playing summer baseball. And I mean, every school is different, right? Some people give them the options. Pitchers are on inning limits depending on what it is, right? They're a whole nother conversation. But hitting wise, I'm like, I look back to my days of playing summer baseball. I honestly, at summer baseball, there's points where it was more fun than college baseball. And
No doubt.
what I mean by that is you're playing every day, right? There's not stress of like, am I going to be in the lineup or am I not doing enough
Class.
for the team, class, homework, whatever it may be. It's like, and I still talk to guys that I played summer ball with because like the connections you make there are nothing like you make in college. College, they're forced because everyone's in that recruiting class. But you got guys from Northern Illinois, you got California, you got Florida, you got a guy that lives 10 minutes down the road that you don't even know who he is. Like
No doubt.
it's
It's the closest thing to pro ball that you'll get to without playing pro ball.
agreed. What's a key thing that you guys do at GW to improve the development of your players that you might have learned from your playing career that personally helped you? Just one. It doesn't have to be multiple.
I think we have 4 cages and we have the field and we have 8 machines. So the ability to deviate from arm to machine to the hack elite that throws sequences to you, I think that's the biggest thing here is you can go from feel good rounds to breaking ball machines to competitive at bats in the span of 5 minutes. And I think that is the biggest piece of development is the ability to have all access to all that. The Hack Elite has done wonders for us. Early on in the year, we, we weren't really using it. I wanted guys to feel good going into game day, and they were like, "Coach, can we use it? Like, I want to feel competitive at bats while feeling good." And it's done wonders for us.
Last question here is can you explain how crucial the development at GW is in your freshman year fall?
Yeah, I think that whatever development you have as a freshman is going to be solely on what you do in the classroom. And what I mean by that is if you're not stressed in the classroom, then you can come to baseball and get as developed as you want. But if you bring the classroom to baseball, it's going to be really hard to develop. I think of the guys that we've had here over the last 8 months, and the guys that have done really well in the classroom are usually the guys that play. You look at our lineup, and the freshmen that play or throw are usually the guys that have done really well in the classroom. And then the physicality portion of it, there's a lot of guys that this is the first time that baseball's been the only thing on their mind. So the weight room and throwing every day and swinging every day, it gets to them. But you saw the difference when they came back for winter break than when they came back from Thanksgiving break. The growth and maturity aspect of it is totally different.
I think there too, it's like those kids go home and their friends might play at other D1s, D2s, D3s, JUCOs, whatever it is. But it's like you kind of see that mature group of that friends of like, hey, you might have might have been on one of his friends that he played summer ball with, right? And it's like now he goes home and tells him about his experiences, and the other guy tells him about his experiences, and it's like, all right, well, we look back 6 months ago, we were just dumb high school kids. Now it's
No doubt.
but now it's like you know what to do. And it's like you're a freshman, you're an 18-year-old kid, sometimes 17, of like, this is real life now. If I don't get good grades, I don't play. If I don't do the right things off the field, I don't play. If I don't show up to study hall on time, I don't play. If I don't clean my
Yeah,
lock, like there's some coaches that if your locker's not organized, you won't play that day. Like there little things at different schools, but it's like there's things that you now have to worry about that's not mom and dad worrying about it for you. And I think
yes,
that's where kids get lost of like, this is you now. There's no more us of a family. Yeah, you got a family at the field, but now
yeah,
it's your family is at the field. It ain't mom and dad anymore. And that's what you're buying in
exactly.
for 4 years.
No doubt. And I mean, we've suspended guys for. I'm in our clubhouse right now, and it got taken away from them for a week because they couldn't take care of it. We've suspended guys for not going to study hall, like, and all that is teaching them that you have to do the right thing because life will pay you back if you don't. So, yeah, I think the development portion of it, it more so you have to develop as a human before you can develop as a baseball player. Once you develop as the human that you want to become, I think the development portion of the baseball side of it it'll come.
All right, moving a little bit into roster. Do you guys currently have a roster limit at GW?
It is 40 for the first time in 3 years.
All right,
It'll
moving
go
on to the
down to
next one.
34.
Moving on to the next one of how do you think the D1 roster cuts are going to affect college baseball next year?
I think you're going to see some really, really good Division Three and Division Two teams. I think it's going to allow them to get back to kind of what it was when it wasn't the Wild West. I think you're going to see some really good, and I think you'll see some smart individuals from a baseball standpoint. Like the 25s that we're committing are committing to the D1s now, right? Like you won't see that 2 3 years from now. They'll go and they'll be really good Division Three and Division Two players. I think you'll see more guys go JUCO. I think JUCO will be a really big thing as well. But yeah, I think it'll affect D1 a ton. But at the same time, if you look at schedules right now and you look at box scores, how many guys are really using more than 34 players on a daily basis?
I think it's not really a daily basis. I think it's a weekly basis if you're using your team and utilizing those players that can give you success on the field, right? They're
I
not the
agree,
kids, right?
but from a weekly basis, how many guys are getting you play 4 games in a week, how many guys are getting those 15 at bats?
Tw- you got 20 probably with pitchers and position players. So
Exactly.
unless you get into that random week where two guys go down, right? Two arms
Yeah.
go down, a shortstop goes down, right? Yeah, and
Yeah.
again, it goes to that 32, 34 of, all right, well, this is kind of what the norm is now going to be, which, I mean, in all honesty, I feel like most teams that I know guys on when I played or you played or when we played, I don't think it was ever at 40. And yes, I get it. Schools want to boost enrollment and it gives more kids an opportunity. Absolutely, I agree with it. But now I think the hard part becomes is like those freshman guys, like you said, right? Of they go into their freshman year and they get hurt in the fall. Like that's where the portal is going to become beneficial, I think.
Yes. Agreed.
So I think that is kind of gonna help the portal of yes, the Power Five schools are gonna get whoever they want out of the high school JUCO portal. It's always gonna be that way. It's always been that way. Pre-portal, post-portal, whatever you want to call it. So I think now it's gonna go to those D3s of like I used the example in the last podcast of the power D3s here are Eastern, Salve, and Endicott. Okay. So those guys that were the mid-major guys are now gonna end up getting guys that deserve to play there because they can't bring in that many guys.
Exactly.
And if you really do the breakdown of it, pretty much there's going to be 1,500 plus kids in the portal next year from D1 alone. And then,
Absolutely.
and then count on the guys that end up getting decommitted from their school that are going into their freshman year because now those guys can move up. It's going to be the Wild West, like you said. But
Oh yeah.
I think it's going to
It's
be
gonna be interesting.
and I know a lot of guys that have said, like, this is a recruiting standpoint. And again, a lot of people still have bought into the 4-year high school athlete, which is good. But some guys are like, I'm never going to recruit a high school guy because why do you have to? You
That
already
would
got kids that are established, or they're going to move
exactly.
into it of I'm going to take 70% portal guys and 30% high school guys. So now these recruits are looking at it as those kids coming out of high school of, well, first of all, you don't even know what their recruiting class looks like, what they need, right? So now they might only need one pitcher every year. Yeah, and they might never take a shortstop for the next 10 years. You don't know.
No
And
doubt.
it's like
And
if
they
you don't
just go
have the
get a portal
right
guy.
and if you don't have the right people in your corner of like for me to reach out to you of what are you guys looking for? Instead of you wasting your time of, well, I really want to go to GW. Well, that's great. Well, they have 6 shortstops already and you're a shortstop and they're not taking one for the next 4 classes.
Exactly. Just being like coaches being honest about it.
Life is
I
honesty, dude. Like that's
exactly.
what it is.
I say it all the time. Like, I'll tell guys we can't absorb another infielder right now. We just can't. From a number standpoint, it's not fair to you. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the guys that are here. So
Now go to that D3, hit 300, and hey, maybe one of our guys transfers out because he has a crazy year, or one of our guys gets hurt and his career's over.
exactly,
At least you did it the right way and said thank you and gave him the opportunity, and now he's got another opportunity because you were like, hey, I watched that kid a year ago or 2 years ago.
exactly.
Now he hit 330 with 10 homers and plays stellar defense. And now you're going to get that opportunity. And I think a lot of it goes back to doing it the right way. And I think people have shied away from thank every coach for every opportunity, even if it's a bad opportunity. It leaves a better thing in his mind of you saying thank you for the opportunity, even if you don't like the guy.
And the relationships matter. Like you said, 2 years from now, it could help you out. So don't burn those bridges.
Can you explain how you guys build out your roster, meaning breakdown of pitchers and position players?
It depends on the year. With the 34, we've talked about 16 and 16, or no, 16 and 18 uh, pitchers to position players. We've talked about it the other way, where it's 18 position players and 16 pitchers. Um, talked about 17 and 19. I don't think we'll know until we go through. We don't have to be down to 34 till December. So I think we'll go through the fall and kind of see what helps us in the long run more. At the end of the day, I think it'll probably be 17 and 17 or 18 and 16, one way or the other.
I've heard a lot of guys talk about it of it's going to be 16-16, and then the 2 are going to be just like wild
Two ways.
cards essentially, right? Or yeah, 2 ways because you're going to get to the fact of 1 year you might need an extra shortstop or you might need an extra outfielder. So it's going to vary, but I think it's going to be that 16-16. So you take a recruit now in high school, well go look at the 16 and 16 and then look at the 2 other ones. What are they? And it's kind of do your own research.
No doubt. No
Last
doubt.
last part is moving on into camps. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit. Do you guys host showcase or team camps on campus throughout the year? And when are they, if you guys kind of have the dates?
Yeah, so we've got 3 team camps. 2 of them are full right now, but it's June. It's the end of June. June 24th, 25th, 27th, 28th, and July 1st and 2nd, I believe. Sorry, 27th, 28th, 29th, and then July 1st and 2nd. And then we're hosting a prospect camp August 16th and 17th. And it'll be a 2-day event. Like I said, we've ran 7 since I've been here, and we've gotten 6 commits, all of them, out of all of them. So again, our camps are super important to us. You get to spend the day with us, and then each camp will have a different group of coaches there from D2, D3, D1, obviously, and JUCO.
I'll add those to the website too, so everyone can go through and navigate it. I got all everybody's schools. I'll break down so they can just go to one master calendar, which is good.
You're a stud. You
It
are a
just
stud
it just makes it easier for the recruiting process of how
for
long does
sure.
it take me to add a 3-second link, right? And
No
for
doubt.
any normal athlete, just go to a calendar and it's like, all right, well, I like GW. I like Amherst. I like whatever it may be. And it's puts that less stress on a parent of like, all right, well, they're all right here. So I don't have to go jumping through hula hoops to figure out where all these camps are. Because in quite honesty, and I know from coaching, and you're still coaching, like it's not the easiest link to find unless a coach is sending it to you.
Absolutely
It's the
not.
longest URL of all time.
Ever. It's the worst.
All right. Franklin, I want to thank you for joining today's podcast. I wish you and GW the best throughout the rest of the season.
Thank you, brother. It's been cool catching up with you. I'm glad you're getting into this. I think it's really important to have good people doing it, and I think you're going to be really good at it. So keep going, man.
Thank you.